I'm looking at the bill right now, and it looks like somewhere on page 15, it says, on or before June 1st, 2024, a county board shall, in consultation with county administrators and school staff, adopt a virtual education plan for use during a prolonged state of emergency. Is there any language on an extension?
We have not seen any language on an extension. I mean, because I think if it would have been any, we would have gotten something after this, and we have not received anything.
Is there any language on a penalty?
Not that I'm aware of.
I've not seen that language.
Okay. As I'm looking at this, we have, excuse me, a couple of areas, and I would refer to things like the electric buses. We know that certain times school boards are not able to do things within a certain amount of time, and so we file for an extension. So what is the process on something like when we file for the extension for the electric buses because we're not able to comply at that point?
I'd have to look at one of my colleagues to answer that. I don't know that there's one set.
Could you state your name for the record?
Record. Matt Stansky, Chief Financial Officer. Good question, Ms. Frank. I do not know. There's in the electric school bus bill, there are provisions that for waivers, a series of them, but I do not know that there is a formalized process for applying for said waiver. And Dr. Heiser, anything to add?
That's correct. There is no process at this time. It has not been laid out. We just this morning did receive a one-pager asking if we're able to comply, and it asks a series of questions. But at this time, I haven't had time to review that yet, but that just came in this morning.
So the state just sent you that?
I'd have to get back to you on who exactly sent it. It wasn't from the state.
Okay. Okay. In general, I have some serious concerns with the speed at which this is being put together, both by the state and within this room. If the state is just still continuing to send things, or other bodies are continuing to send things within 2 weeks before this is supposed to be due, I am not in a position where I would be supportive of adopting something without having a lot more information, especially something like this. We had an extremely difficult time getting through COVID the last time and getting things reopened. As we looked at, as we moved forward, there were a lot of pieces that were not in place, and then there were pieces that contradicted each other, and then there were pieces that were confusing for people at home to follow. We as a board have not gotten an overview of what happened well, what we did right, what we did wrong, and how things progressed and what could be done to ensure a smoother transition in the future. So I am not willing at this point to vote on anything that puts anything in stone or on paper until we have that review. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Rank. Your comments recognized. I would only say that we've explained to you that we will have for the board, probably in the fall, we want to work on it over the summer as during a cabinet retreat, a postpartum of COVID and what each division did, what we learned, best practices. But I don't think that in any way prevents us from presenting this framework to you. Again, this is a framework saying that we will come up with a plan should there be a state of emergency. Ms. Wilson, I think, had some comments she wanted to share as well.
Yes, for the record, Grace Wilson, legislative and policy specialist. I just want to note, as Mr. Stansky shared, there's not a waiver provision in the law as there is for electric buses. So any guidance would come from the State Department of Education. It's not in statute.
Thank you. And yes, and it is recognized that you are working on something to present to the board. I would not be willing before that time to make votes on how we proceed in the future until we look at what we have done in the past.
Duly noted.
Thank you.